Welcome to another Recce Trek video, not Recce Trek, like some of you have been getting it wrong. It's Recce Trek. I don't know if I haven't made it clear now, I don't know, whatever. Yeah, welcome to a Recce Trek video. In this video, we're going to be discussing route planning. So planning your route using a route card. And with that, we'll also be talking about route selection. So, planning a route. I know some of you dudes and dudettes out there, you don't necessarily want to plan a route. That's the whole idea. Some of you guys and girls like going out and getting lost on purpose. Yeah, and I'm all for that. I like doing that too. You like to go out and you think that that's part of the exploring, part of just going out, stuff the map and compass, just go out and explore the wild. I do that. I actually prefer to do that too. But there are times when you do need a map and compass, and there are those sort of people who enjoy using a map and compass. To that end, we're going to talk about planning a route. Yeah, using what is known as a route card. This is a route card, or an example of a route card. Ideally, that needs to be waterproofed. Yeah, preferably using a Fablon, or you can laminate it using two types of lamination. You have the laminating paper, which is like the shiny glossy side, where you have to use like a felt pen to write on. That's not my preferred one. The other laminating paper is one that you can laminate and use a pencil on. That's ideal, that's alright. But preferably I would use a Fablon to waterproof anything to do with map reading, really. Let's get under my Gucci Mod Tech, I don't know what you want to call it, brace for my overhead camera, and talk about a route card. Okay, so this is an example of a route card, and this is, like I say, it's been a long time since I've done map reading, but if I remember rightly, this is how I would have laid out my route card. I'll just leave it there and give you guys a chance to pause it and copy down the points that I have across the top. Yeah, and down the side. I'll do that now. So I'm just going to go through a bit of route selection using the route card that we've just gone through. Okay, I'm just going to go through it slow time. So here we are using a map of the New Forest, or Denny Lodge. Yeah, it's the New Forest district. Hooray, I'm using a different map other than the Isle of Wight. I promise at some point in my videos or my YouTubing life, I will leave the Isle of Wight and venture outwards. So courtesy of Joe and Abby, who got me this map for my birthday, I'm going to be using this map. I've got my route card, yeah, and I've got my map. We're going to do a bit of route selection now, and I will give you some key points as I go through the route selection phase. Okay, we've been dropped off, yeah, at this car park here. I'm not going to say that. Is it Bailey Road Station? I guess. I don't know. I wasn't very good at school, but that's a car park there. I know that for a fact, right? So we need to know that's our starting point, grid reference from, yeah. So along the corridor, as previously taught, and up the stairs. So it will be 3480. I'm going to do an 8-figure grid reference for this. So it'll be 3480. Yeah, and it will be upstairs. It will be 06 0640, give or take. So let's say 0640. 0640. So my first 8-figure grid reference for my start point at this car park here, yeah, the grid is 34800640. Yeah, excluding the 2 letters at the beginning, which I've gone through in a previous video about map reading, grid references. Again, I'll put a link up here about grid references if you want to go into that in a bit more depth. Okay, right, so we're at this car park. Now I know we want to get to this campsite here, all right? So I'm going to take a grid reference of this campsite, because that would be the first checkpoint of our first leg. So we're going to go through the same process again, along the corridor and up the stairs, using the outside scale of the compass. Let's get it right there. I would say, yeah. Okay, it would be 3355. 3355. Yeah. 6067. 0667. Yeah. Oh, I've written it in the wrong one. Retard. 3355. Don't do what I did there, because that's absolute mong at its absolute peak. 0667. Okay, so what I've got there, scratch that out, don't worry about that, that was just me being a complete mong. I've got my grid from leg 1, grid from my start point 34800640. My objective, yeah, my first checkpoint, which would be a campsite, it's 33550667 here. Okay, now this is when we get into a bit of route selection. We're going to take a bearing from here to here. Alright, now this is as the crow flies. As the crow flies means you're going to go in a direct travelling distance, just as the crow flies, straight. Yes, I'm going to, for the purpose of the video, I'm going to take a bearing on that. Right, I've also done another video, I'll put a link in the top right hand corner. I've done a video on how to take bearings using a map and compass. Okay, so that's given me a bearing, a grid bearing, or sorry, say true bearing, of 505. But because we're in England, we need to take into account declination, yeah, and go 10 clicks to the right. Oh, sorry, 10 degrees to the right, which takes me to 515. Yeah, and that's giving me my magnetic bearing. So my magnetic bearing is, as you can see on the compass, it'd be something like that. Yeah, it would be 515. Okay, so we've got a bearing. Point to note throughout this, as you can see, this is before I've gone out on the ground planning this route and doing this route card, route planning, whatever. It's a bit of a map recce, yeah, and I'm doing this before going out on the ground. Therefore, I haven't had to orientate my map to the ground like I always do usually, but I don't need to in this case because I'm doing it from the comfort of my home prior to going out on the ground. So that's the only thing I haven't done is orientate the map to the ground. You just don't need to at this stage. If you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, I'll put links, relevant links in the top right hand corner and in the description below. It will make a bit more sense. Okay, so to recap so far, leg 1, we've got our start point, we've got our first checkpoint, And we've also got our bearing from point A to point B. Yeah, our magnetic bearing. We're going to take the distance now from point A to point B using the scale on the outside of the map, the relevant scale. Yeah, I'm using 1 in 25,000 map, so we're using the outside scale. From there to there, right? And we are looking at approximately, as the crow flies in a straight line, yeah, we're looking at 1,250 meters, roughly, yeah, between that car park to the tent in one straight line. 1,250 meters. So we know it's over a kilometre. Like I say, you wouldn't really want to go that far without doing a nav check, but you can see across that terrain. You're probably going to be able to see that if the weather's good. Still worth taking a bearing though, and still worth going through the process just in case the weather changes. Alright, so we know our distance is 1,250 meters. Too far really for a leg, but for the purpose of this video and for the sort of terrain we're going on there, it's acceptable. Before we go on any further with the other columns on the route card, is this. When it comes to route selection, looking across that ground there, I've done it as the crow flies. It's probably not ideal. It might look ideal, yeah. Oh, nice bit of ground. It's quite low and flat. Yeah, there's a little number there on that contour line. It says 25, so that's 25 meters above mean sea level, which means it's reasonably flat. And there's only one other contour line within that sort of kilometre. Yeah, and that's probably going to be about 35 meters above mean sea level. So it's reasonably flat across all of that terrain, right? And you think, excellent, I'll probably be able to see that from there, and I can just go plop straight across. Point to note, I don't know if you can see it on the camera. I don't know if it's worth me getting the magnifying glass out. I don't know if that's going to work or just be blurry. Nah, we'll just do it like this. You can see here, there's little green tufts. That denotes that it's hard, like a hard grass, hard terrain, hard underfoot. Yeah, you're probably looking at like, it'll probably be knee-deep grass. Or even worse, it'd be what's known as baby heads, ankle rollers. So quite hard underfoot, you'd think, okay, it'd probably take me so long to get across there, like, I don't know, say, I bang that out in half hour, 20 minutes, half hour, get straight across. Wrong. It's probably gonna take you longer because that terrain is gonna be a little bit hard underfoot, rolling your ankles sort of situation, stumbling and whatnot. And having to fight through long grass or baby heads. Alright, and as you can see here, there's another little symbol. Yeah, it's like a blue line. When you look on the key, that will probably tell you that that is in fact like a marshy land. So not only have you got this crap ground where it's going to have baby heads and whatever, and the grass is going to be long, you're also going to have boggy ground and marshland. So that route there from point A to point B isn't going to be as easy as it looks on the map. It's going to be a bit of a tough gruel across there, even more so if you're going at night time. I wouldn't recommend doing it, to be honest, unless you've got the time to kill. But that's quite some way to go. It's over a kilometre you're going to go through some, you know, it don't look like anything on the map, but let's face it, that's going to be some shit terrain through there at night. Alright, so just bear that in mind when it comes to route selection. Really look deep at the map before you get out on the ground. Do your map recce. That's probably going to be a pretty shit way to go. So you would break that down into legs. Yeah, you'd probably go, you could put, I personally wouldn't go on the road, although it's quite a nice road through there. But it depends what time you've got. If you want to get there quick, just take the road and then up into this track and down. Yeah, and through the woods. But if you want to have a little dog leg around and walk about, I'd go down this track here. Yeah, and that's when you start breaking it into legs. You start saying, right, well, I'm going to go from, I want to get to here. Yeah, so we'll start the route card again. Scratch leg one. Leg one is done. and leg 2 because I monged it and scruffed all this up. So let's go now. Tell you what, I'll get another one. Wait out. Got a new route card. And I've just kicked my glass of water all over the floor, but hey hey. Right, so we've distinguished the fact that this ground and terrain is going to be shit. Right, so we're going to, rather than do that on one leg, A, because it's a long distance, and B, because it's bloody long ass, it would just take forever, it's ball ache. What we're going to do, yeah, we're going to break this up into more legs. So we're going to go from point A, yeah, which we know the grid reference for this is 3, 4, 8, 0, 0, 6, 4, 0. We're going to go along the track until it meets the wood block down here. Yeah, and that is at grid. Well, in fact, there's a little, before we get to the wood block, there'll be a fork in the road. That'll probably be the better option. Just go to the fork in the road. Yeah, and now we're going to go 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 2, 2, 0, 5, 9, 0. Okay, so we got our grid from point A to point B there. Yeah, magnetic bearing. So take our true bearing like so. True bearing. Convert that to a grid bearing with 10 degrees to the right, and we've got 4, 3, 5. 4, 3, 5. Yeah, distance. So distance from point A to that fork in the road, we're looking at about 750 meters. So it's a bit more of an acceptable distance to be traveling between your legs, really, and then you can do a nav check when you get to this point. Reference point, yeah, it's a fork in the track. It's a fork in the track. So I was put there, fork, fork, I can't spell by the way, fork in track. Or you do a diagram if you really want, but I wouldn't recommend it. Yeah, fork in a track, and if I've gone too far, right behind it here, there's a wood block. So I know if I've hit that wood block, I've gone too far, I've missed my checkpoint. Yeah, wood block. If I hit that wood block and I've gone too far, key points to know. I've got this grassy, horrible baby heads or whatever, boggy ground to my left and right as I go through, and I should have at all points have this Denny wood block to my front. Okay, so I would put wood block front in the distance. Yeah, so I should be able to see 750 meters away there'll be a wood block in the distance, or just past, about a K away from there to there. Okay, so that's pretty much it. But the next thing I would say is, when you come to start your next leg, this grid here then becomes here, because it would become your new starting point. Yeah, see what I mean? It's the same grid reference there as it is there, and that's because when you get to this point then becomes your starting point for the next leg. Okay, I hope that's made sense. Okay, so that's it. That is using a route card and planning your route. Okay, so really before going out on the ground, for those that you know, I understand that there's people out there that you quite enjoy getting lost on purpose and just going into the wild. Yeah, I like doing that as well. But there's times when there are people out there, and there's also times when you do need to do a bit of a map recce and plan the route. So the first thing you do need to do is do a map recce where you're going to go. Yeah, plan your route. When you're planning the route, you use a route card, as so. because that really helps you break it down and go into depth. And it also just gets the ground and the map in your head. So you can study the map before even going out on the ground. You'll know the area. You're surprised yourself. You'll know the area before even going out on the ground. But the key thing really is your route selection. Just when you have that condor moment and that time to just sort of sit down and focus in on the map, when you're not under cover of rain, getting piss wet through, when you're actually in the comfort of your own home or a tent or something prior to going out on the ground, that's the time to really study the map and look at your route selection. Look at the contour lines. Like if you ping a line and go and, as a crow flies, without really taking much note of the ground on the map, sometimes there'll be a contour lines, and if they're real close together, you'll be heading straight up a bloody peak like that. It'd be so steep, and you think, bloody hell, I wish I picked another route. So I mean, like when talking about route selection, the sensible, easiest option could take longer. So if you're looking at, if you want to get to somewhere by a certain time, you might have to go across harder terrain, or you might have to really plan your route well in order to make sure you're not going to lose time. It might not be so easy on the ground, but it is going to be the quickest route. Again, with that, the quickest route, it could, just because it's a quick route, you need to bear in mind it might actually be the hardest route, and therefore it won't be as quick as you think. Like that example previously earlier on in this video, when you're going across that field, looking at that map, you think, yeah, sweet, bang, straight across that open field. But really look into it more detail, that field's hard going underfoot, and it's going to take longer than you think. Yeah, so what you think may be the quickest route might not necessarily be the quickest route, yeah, or the safest route, for that matter. So your route selection is very important. Take the time to really study the map, looking at the contour lines, looking at the type of the open ground you're going to cross. Is it going to be hard underfoot? Looking at the density of the wood. Sometimes it doesn't show the density of the wood. I've previously done a video where I was hiking through Parkhurst Forest on the Isle of Wight. I'll put a link in the top corner for you. There's clearly a track marked on the map. A track? Did I say track or truck? There's a track on the map, but when I opened up and looked up, it was so overgrown. I went for it anyway because it was fun, but there was no track there. It was just so overgrown and enclosed. It all of a sudden went from a standard British forest to going through a jungle in the Amazon. So yeah, the point I'm trying to make is just make sure you're diligent in your route selection. That's it. If there's any questions, or if there's anything I've missed that more experienced people have, if you think actually you've missed a bit there, or there's something else you need to highlight, please do put it in the comments below, or let me know in direct message or comment or whatever. Cool. Thanks for stopping in. Remember to check out the other videos, because some of this stuff that the more I'm going into these map reading videos now, the more in depth I'm going. If you're jumping into these videos at this stage, you might think I'm talking Swahili if you're a beginner. So go to the playlist on my YouTube channel, which is marked as map reading, and go from the beginning. There's videos on there literally from intro to map reading all the way up to where we are now. You know, and if you don't want to miss any future videos, I hate to be that guy, but do subscribe to the channel, because then you ain't going to miss any more map reading tutorials. Alright, I think that's pretty much it. Let's wrap this up because I'm starting to waffle on as usual. But thanks for stopping in.